I want you to imagine that I started a job, okay, back when I was, ooh, 21 years old.
Hmm.
I was one of the youngest investment advisors ever hired in Canada, in the
Hmm.
history of Canada. Okay. That's not a yay me. I was just in the right place at the right time in the right industry with the right credentials. And a lot of people in the industry hadn't taken those credentials. So they kind
Mhm.
of had to hire me because I had the right licensing. It's not because I was a genius, I was just in the right place at the right time. And so this is the document that I kept for 30 years.
Hmm.
I'm now 53. It is the most important document I've ever had. So we're going to review it now. The
Hmm.
top of it is we're here to help. Okay. And it's actually a training on how to have a meeting.
Hmm.
When you have a first meeting with a client, you don't just go, okay, here's my product, everything about my product. Do you want to buy my vacuum cleaner? That pisses people off. They will leave immediately. You need to start with small talk. So tell me about you, your kids. What do you like? Do you play golf? Do you like to cook? Tell me about you. So it has to start with something of an emotional opener. You got to get to know each other, at least so there's a starting basis. Okay.
The relatability.
And relatability. And then you avoid talking about the product.
Mhm.
Do not talk about the product. Talk about where are you now and where do you want to be. So it's the current life situation and the needs and goals for the future. So, what are the objectives of that meeting? It's to identify their personal needs, wants, and the current situation, understand their lifestyle, then review financial process, uncover financial needs today and the future, and determine personal investment comfort. In other words, is to shut your mouth and listen.
Sure.
When you are listening, you ask open-ended questions about changes. What is an open-ended question? Let me give you an example. Roger, do you know what an open-ended question is?
Yes.
That is a closed-ended question because he can either answer yes or no. I could actually ask it a different way that would be an open for him to explain question. So let me rephrase that. What do you know about open-ended questions, Roger? See, that's an open-ended question. It gives him the world to come back with responses.
Sure. And what I know about open-ended questions is they lead down all kinds of interesting paths. And
So the so the more you practice open-ended questions versus and avoiding yes or no questions, the better you are at helping.
absolutely.
Because it's not about you and what you want, it's about the client and what they want help with.
Mhm.
So open questions about changes, confirm wants and needs. See here, present portfolio. Okay.
Mhm.
Notice first meeting had nothing to do with the portfolio.
Right.
This is the follow-up meeting that you finally present. And how do you present? You go, okay, from our first meeting, this is what you told me. You parrot back what you learned in the first meeting because that is what they said. There's no denying what they said. They said, well, I'm really conservative. Well, I want to do this when I retire. So you're parroting back what they said in the first meeting. And then you present, this is what I would recommend. And then you request their input throughout it. Open-ended questions again. So what do you think about this investment? What do you think about this investment? Does this match what you're looking for? Oh, that's a closed-ended question. See, you got to be careful. So then you amend and address the concerns. By the time you're through that second meeting, you've addressed everything and you do not have to push them for the business because you've already parroted back what they said they want. So it is as simple as, how do we proceed from here?
Sure.
So
So that does work for everything. However, when there's a particular need that you're trying to solve, or an issue, or your product fits a particular niche, you guide those open-ended questions to
oh,
scratch their pain points
can
and
everybody
just
else
keep
hear
them.
me? Did we just lose Roger?
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me? Guess not. Oh, I know what happened. Hold on. Turn off Bluetooth.
Can you hear me?
There we are. Turned off Bluetooth. I connected to the car.
Okay. Okay.
So when you're trying to, solve one particular issue, or you have a niche product, you try to find their pain points around it, and those open-ended questions are guided just to let them find a way to aggravate their own sore, if you will. And there's a there's an art to it, and it's not psychology. It's not it's not the what was it, Dale Carnegie method of
No,
you have to be a psychologist to sell.
no.
Not true. It's really just that, finding the pain points and
So
helping them
and
through.
this is the second page to explain exactly what you just said. So your goal is to understand the situation and then isolate problems or opportunities. And I think of it like an alligator's mouth. You got to start with that alligator's mouth is completely closed. The more you ask open-ended questions, the more the alligator talks. And it gives the differential enough that you can stick a stick into the alligator's mouth in between. What is your present state and where do you want to be? The more that problems come up, the greater that mouth opens up, the greater the opportunity for you to step in the middle and be able to guide between the two parts of the mouth. Basically help to explain the pain points and how you can solve the pain point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you need to
So
try
as
out.
long as you get
Yeah,
them, as long as you
yeah,
can get them to bring up the pain point and you don't do it,
yes,
it always wins. You'll always
nailed
win that. Yeah.
it. So draw out the benefits, quantify the importance, solicit. This says clients, so I got to change that. Client solutions ideas. That's a typo. Offer your ideas. So when you're soliciting the client solution ideas and then you're injecting your own ideas, you're now on the same path together.
Right.
So it's doing a presumptive close, meaning you're working with the client already. Like, oh, what do you think about solving with this? Well, I think about this. Well, I was thinking maybe we should do this instead. What do you think about that? Yeah, let's go do that. Okay. So you're now on the same path together. There's no having to sell something. You're already on the same path.
Mhm.
So there's a point to this. Okay. That is the art of how to help. Now, some of my best friends own pawn shops. In those pawn shops, there are people that come into the pawn shops that you would not possibly believe the transaction could happen the way it happens. I'll give an example. Guy walks in with a Rolex watch and says, "Hey, how much can I get for the watch?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a $10,000 watch, but it's a pawn shop. We'll lend you $1,000." Yep, totally sounds good. Walks out of the pawn shop, comes back an hour later and says, "Hey, I saw there was a ring in here. How much is that ring?" Like, well, the ring's $900. Oh, here's 900 bucks. Gets the ring for $900, walks out of the pawn shop, comes back the next morning and said, Yeah, I tried the ring on for the day, and yeah, no, I want to pawn the ring too. What? Yeah, yeah, I want to pawn the ring to pay an interest payment on the Rolex. What? Yeah, yeah, can I do that? Oh, okay. It was a $900 ring. We'll give you, I don't know, $200. Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Put down as an interest payment against Rolex. Well, wait a minute. You just gave us a $10,000 Rolex, walked in, did the second thing transaction. You walked out of here where we have the Rolex, and you just taken all of that money and turned it into a $200 deposit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll see you next month. They'll pay the interest payment. And they come back in for the next 20 years, paying $100 a month on the interest payment on the Rolex that has never paid down the principal, ever. And they're perfectly happy. Wrap your head around that. They are perfectly happy with that completely irrational thing. And it cuts to a core point. We're here to help, is what the pawn shop owners go. We long since tried to change how people are. They tried for years, like, are you crazy? Please do not do this transaction with us. And people would get really seriously offended because that's not what they want. It's not what they want. So Roger's going into a serious kind of situation here in the next couple of days, right, Roger?
The next couple of days,
Maybe even today.
today, yeah. I mean, it's
Okay.
yeah. I don't see it as that serious, but it
Well,
it could
it
be. To
could
most
be. So
people,
he's going,
it would.
yeah. So I'm trying to give you this counsel as you're going in there is everything from the ultra high net worth, because that's what this document is. This is one of the top banks
Mhm.
in the world behind the scenes giving their counsel of how to conduct yourself with clients, with billionaires. Okay.
Right.
That same psychology works all the way down to a pawn shop, all the way down to somebody living in a drain shelter
Right.
or underground sewer. So when you're going into that drain shelter underground sewer situation, just be mindful of you're there to help,
Right.
but what you might think is how you can help to that person on the other side, they don't see that you're helping at all because that's not what they want.
Mhm. That is true.
That is true. So I hope this has been just an insightful one. What a great document, eh? What a
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic.
I was curious how you would train up a young hedge fund manager out of the blue. So one of the best sales books I've ever read, and a lot of people make fun of me for saying this, but is Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold. That is like the best um, starter sales boy book that you can read, and everybody should read it.
Mm,
I was giving it away for
mm.
at Christmas for 3 years straight. I love that book because it's so simple. It really is sell or be sold. I mean, you're either selling or you're buying, and that's every interaction every day of your entire life. And then these principles, everything that you just worked out there, it's the same. Every conversation is a sales opportunity.
Well, and what happens is psychologically people think sales is because they hear the word sales.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to notice in this thing, we're here to help, having a discovery meeting, listening to somebody's situation and where they want to get to, and then coming back with a second meeting that shows that you actually listened.
Yep.
And then you present how you can be on the same path together is the top echelon of quote unquote sales, but there's no point that there's anything actually being sold that's
Right.
specific. That's the true art of being a top, I don't even want to see salesperson, a top trusted advisor for helping people get what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm asking that this gets put as a YouTube video or launch online? Ethan, Korea, stop recording. Thank you.